When I was about 12, there was a contest. It was a very big deal because growing up where I did in the 80s, 1980s just to be clear, every kid that I knew wanted to go to space camp. You know, it was a Florida thing, the idea that you could do that. Well, I knew that my parents could never afford that. It was not in the cards. But the space camp people came around to a bunch of schools when I was about 12, and they said, okay, not everybody gets to go to that, but to the kids in this class that take an IQ test and qualify as a genius, which I think is IQ 130 or something like that, you get to go to a local version of it. You get to go for free, and you're going to make model rockets and learn about astrophysics, and you get to try on a spacesuit, and you might meet an astronaut, and oh boy, I've got to do this. First of all, because that sounds really cool, and also I had this idea that maybe if I went to space, I could get far enough away from my parents that everything would be okay. All of us kids in our class wanted to go do this, but we knew that there were only 2 slots for our class available. And so really, in my view, it was either me or this kid Joel. And I hated Joel. Joel was the worst. He wasn't cool. He was such a nerd. You know what he looked like? Picture a nerd. You got it. It was him. It was that thing. And like, you know, I didn't know all of the states and their capitals and all the countries on the map, and he did. He could memorize all of those stuff, and I think I might have been a little bit jealous, but also I knew something about Joel. He wasn't cool. He didn't have an original thought in his head. He couldn't tell a joke. Nothing he said was funny or interesting. Don't feel bad, he's probably a senator now. But at the time, I mean, you know, I liked Cyndi Lauper and I liked Prince. Man, Prince is so cool. He liked Neil Diamond. Now, I appreciate Neil Diamond now, but when you're 12 in the 80s, no, I don't care how hot that summer night is. It's not happening. But I knew that Joel would probably get it because he could do all of the memorization stuff, all the nerdy stuff. I was a good test taker because I was a good people pleaser, and I could sort of figure those things out. But I didn't study. Well, we took the test. We got the results, and I spent my summer with Joel, launching model rockets. Because the thing is, all of it, here's my point, all of it is relative. I mean, let's ask ourselves, which is the right definition of genius? Is it a matter of getting approval and passing a test and achieving a number? Or is it something different? I mean, that idea of genius is a quality that we want. We say somebody is a genius. That thing is genius. We even use it as an insult when someone does something dumb. Nice work, genius. It's that thing. It's that quality that is so desired. It's such a commodity, and maybe it's time to get a sense of clarity on what it is. What does it mean to be a genius or to have a genius? What is that thing? Is it a matter of achieving a certain number on a test? Is it a matter of something that you can go have or buy? Because I think that it's important to understand that there's a very recent idea, that when people are born, they start out empty. Tabula rasa, the blank slate. When you're born, there's nothing going on. You are an empty soul when you're born. That is a very recent idea. But the idea is one that a lot of us have been taught, the idea that you got nothing going on when you start. And your job as a functional member of society is to have as much stuff crammed in so that you fit in. The word instruction comes from the root word in Greek, which has to do with packing it in. Instruction means to get it packed in. Nothing new, just what we've all agreed is okay. And if you believe that you start as 0 with nothing to bring to the table, that your job is just to learn what everybody else already knows, to be instructed, well, man, you can go far in this culture, can't you? You can't do anything new. You can't tell a joke worth a darn. And you're going to listen to a lot of Neil Diamond. But nothing happens. But it's an interesting thing because if I want to control a group of people, I will tell them that they have nothing to offer and they better just listen to me. And I will tell them that from the time that they are little. I will tell them that they have an original sin. I will tell them that they start from nothing, that they're less than nothing, that all they must do is listen to me, and they have to get that in. And if they want to be good, then they better just be empty. And if I tell people that enough, they will start to believe it themselves. And the control happens when they police themselves. And they look in the mirror and they see somebody who is empty, who brings nothing to the table, who is blank. And then I can get them to do anything. But I was thinking about that definition of a genius as someone who is just really good at absorbing what other people say, really good at meeting approval. And I remembered a quote from Albert Einstein. I don't know if you've heard of him. I'm going to go out on a limb. Clever guy. The quote is this: "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." Everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Like I said, turns out, smart guy. In fact, the person that a lot of people think of when they hear the word genius says that everybody is one. It's not that only certain people who have an aptitude for memorization or copying, but everybody has it. Point one, genius is something that everybody has. Point two, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. In other words, point two has to do with the idea that different people express it differently. It can't be something where we all take the same test. I probably didn't deserve to go build rockets and put on a spacesuit. Who knows what that is? It has to do with understanding that there's a different way of looking at this. It turns out the idea that you're a blank slate, like I said, is a recent idea. The ancient idea is that everybody comes with something special. The word genius comes from the same root as the word genie, that magic thing that's bottled up inside each and every person. The old idea is that everyone comes with something magical, and your job as a parent, as a caregiver, as a community leader, as a whatever, an elder, is to figure out what that person's genius is and help them bring it out. That they come with something, that you don't start as zero, as an empty slate, but rather you come with something special. So take a minute. What do you think you come with? The ancient Greek idea of happiness comes from the word eudaimonia, like eudaimon? No, eudaimonia. And that middle part, the D-A-I-M-O-N part in the middle of eudaimonia is the Greek version of genie, that thing inside. You want to be happy, in other words, you're going to live in harmony with that voice, that power, that presence that you already have inside of you. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you get to decide what you want to be. If you believe that all of the good and happiness and love and truth and power and beauty and friendship and good stuff in the world is like pie and there's only so much, and that you better get yours because you start with nothing. Or if you believe that everyone comes with something special and your job is not only to get your special out there, but to see it in other people and to work together. Either way, you'll be right. Because you will live a life based on that belief system. So what do you want? Do you want a world where we live together or not? Is it pie? Or is it infinity? Einstein, remember him, also said that imagination is more important than knowledge. So we kind of know where he stands on it. And it turns out that is the basic quality that makes all of this work. Imagination. Not memorization, not approval, not an achievement of a certain score or credit rating or zip code or anything external, not purchasing something, but rather the quality that is the most important thing in the world, the thing that brings out new things is the ability to imagine. Ask yourself, how much time per day do you spend in memorization, and how much time per day do you give yourself to think of something new? And maybe that's a number you could tweak a little. it might be more important than how many push-ups you can do. Imagination being more important. People worry about, well, is what I do going to be replaced by AI? Is what I do going to be a marketable skill? You know, these are valid questions. I get it. Ask yourself, what is unique to you? What is unique to humanity? The thing that is unique is imagination. What is your ability to come up with something new? Some of you know I have a day job. I know, it's weird, right? My day job is I work with artificial intelligence all day long. I'm a computer scientist. That's my job. I know I don't really look the part, but I am a computer scientist. And I can tell you, AI ain't all that I. It's not very good at coming up with new things. In fact, it really kind of can't. It can just put things together that other people have said, other things that have already happened. You want to be unique? You want to be irreplaceable? Find out what is your imagination, because that's the one thing the machine can't do. You want to keep your job? Be imaginative in it. Find something that you can see. Find something that you could carry forward into something else. Let me give you all of that in a different way. This is a quote by somebody else, a guy named Graham Greene. He's a writer. He said, hatred is a failure of imagination. Hatred is a failure of imagination. It doesn't take too long on the internet to find examples of hatred. You can post something, a picture of your breakfast, and say, I really like French toast, and someone will say, oh, I guess you hate pancakes then. I'm offended by your post as a member of the non-syrup society. And you can get mad. You can return hate for hate. You can do that. I get it. Sometimes it's fun. It's tempting. But does that make more or less hate in the world? And if your unique quality is the ability to imagine, if the thing that makes it all better is your ability to imagine, and hatred is the opposite of that, what are you doing? Of course, hatred is a failure of imagination, because if I can't imagine how somebody else lives, if I can't see that in my mind's eye, then what I'm left with is fear. And fear breeds all of the anger and all of the resentment and all of the yucky stuff that it is time to outgrow, frankly. So you want to be a better person, you want to be a happy person, you want to be a successful person, learn how to imagine and be brave enough to carry your imagination into how you see others, and be brave enough to do something about it. It has to do with the space that we inhabit together. Do you remember when we used to think the world was flat? I know, right? Some of us are that old. Perhaps you've heard of it. And then you remember that at some point humanity decided, wait a minute, based on very simple things like the shadow of that tower compared with that one, or what it looks like when you look out to the sea and you see the curvature, or when you're up on a mountain. Very basic things, folks. You go, oh, wait a minute, this thing's round. And then later on there are people that are like, no, it's flat. What we have there is a failure of vertical imagination. It's comforting to go, oh no, it's all just like this. Think about how that transfers to all kinds of places in society. Oh no, it's all just like this. I can't handle up or down. I can't handle a third dimension. I need it to all just be like this. It's a failure of vertical imagination, and it ain't true. It used to be, I understand now that when we go to church, it's whatever building we want, and there's a beauty to that. I get it. It's nice that we have this idea that God is wherever we are. But it used to be that when you go into a church building, a building that is built and dedicated to church, you start out in a low place, like the lobby is a small place. And it's done on purpose. It's actually a ritual you're already going through, just walking in the building. You're reenacting the birth experience. And you start in this small place, and then it opens out, and there's these beautiful, big, high ceilings and stained glass and music echoing off of all of the walls and all of those things. All of that is deliberate, because what we're trying to say, no matter what the belief system is in that particular place, the message being sent is, this is a place for big imagination. This is a place for big ideas. You start small and you open up. We're including the transcendent and the divine in what we think about. And that can change things. Nowadays, you go in an office building and there's a great big lobby, but then you go in the offices and the ceilings are low. Things turn around. It's a failure of vertical imagination. And the point of all of that is you get to decide what space you inhabit. Because everything is like everything. The way that you think on the inside is the way that you're going to experience on the outside. So ask yourself, you may not have a choice about the day job. I get it. But of your relationships and of your situations and of the places that you inhabit physically, are they open at the top or do they close you down? Ask yourself of the things that you consume on social media, of the conversations that you allow yourself to be in. Is it just more all just like this? Or are they open at the top? Because if the opposite of hatred, the power of love, the power to make you successful and happy and free and who you have always been, to have that genie in you come out, has everything to do with imagination, you have the right to make a skylight. You have the right to open something up. And maybe it's time to do that. Not just in the physical buildings, but in the way that we deal with each other. Some people say that the thing that is amazing about humanity is that we invented the wheel, right? Or that we came up with fire, right? The 3-day weekend. These inventions. But I would argue that perhaps the most important thing that we have invented as humans is the concept of tribe. Because before that, it was survival of the fittest. If you couldn't hunt, you couldn't eat, right? That kind of thing. The basic idea. But something happened when we decided, wait a minute, if we're all in this together, someone who is, let's say, sick or contributes differently to the tribe, they still get to eat. And all of a sudden, because different people still get taken care of, even though they don't all have the same gifts, we start to take care of each other. We start to grow. New inventions happen. New things happen. All of a sudden, amazing things happen because we have given ourselves vertical imagination combined with the ability to care for each other. That is the invention. And so when people say, well, I just want to get back to the way it was when it was just everyone for themselves. What, do you want to live in a field? Fine. Just leave me alone. Because the thing that makes us humans is our ability to take care of each other. And I think sometimes that gets lost. Even if they contribute differently, to give them the power to contribute. Oh, that's what it's all about. That is the moment of beauty. That's how all of this works. It is the next step. Instead of going backwards into some weird Darwinian thing, the idea that prosperity is defined differently. You know that part when Spock says, live long and prosper? What's he talking about? This is a moment when he could say anything. If the two cool things that I wish for you are for you to live long and for you to prosper, we go, well, what does it mean to prosper? I think sometimes in New Thought we go, well, that means having a lot of money or the ability to manifest a Buick or whatever it is. There's a lot of books on that, right? But that can't be the whole thing. And let's get super nerdy for a minute. In the world of Star Trek, nobody even has money, right? They just do stuff. Captain Picard, a much cooler captain than Kirk. Captain Picard later says that the point of existence is to make yourself better. To get better, to care for each other. So what does it mean to live long and prosper if prosperity is not defined by how well rich people are doing or how good we are at dominating other people? Or how good we are at hunting and whatever. All of a sudden, if we are to truly be humans and to truly look forward to the future, to go boldly where no one has gone before, prosperity is defined by our ability to take care of each other. So let's get real good at that. Prosperity is defined by our ability to go, there is something in me that came with me. And there is something in you that came in you. You came already wonderful. And that's the thing that I want to tell you today, folks. I think that so often you can pick up a new thoughty kind of pop spirituality kind of, feel-good kind of book, and it tells you, here's what you can do to get all of your dreams to come true. And here's what you can do to have more of you in the world. Me, yay! That's what I want, and that's what everybody needs. Well, not exactly. Because the genie that comes with you, the eudaimonia, that thing inside of you, isn't you. It isn't your ego. It isn't the things that you want. It's what the universe wants from you. We get to a place, this is the evolution, this is the moment where the dog catches its tail, this is the moment when things open up at the top. We realize that, wait a minute, it's not just that I have good feelings in me, it's not just that you have good feelings in you, it's not just that we can take care of each other, it is that you are here. Because the universe requires your presence. Whatever you have been through, however you feel right now, whatever you're chewing on, whatever you have done or gonna do, you are required. Think of that. And maybe don't hide that light. And yes, oh man, there are people that feel differently than you on the French toast versus pancake spectrum. But they are required too. They may not know it. They may not have a lot of vertical imagination, but we're not here to judge that. We're here to love that. There is work to be done, but it begins when we realize that there is something important that we all share. We just have to see it. Everything else, I promise, everything else will work out with love and care and time, because you are a genius, and so are we. Nothing else can hold us back. Because after all, freedom is a choice. Thank you.